Gerd, thank you so much for joining us today. You are very kind. I know you've done an amazing and interesting talk already today. So more questions, I'm sorry, but here we go.
No, I love to talk with you.
Oh, well, that's very nice, because you're going to have to. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is this model of thinking fast and thinking slow. Is one of the best known behavioral finance concepts. We all talk about it all the time, and it's one of the concepts that even laymen in this area know all about, right? But you're one of the biggest critics of this idea. You're not on board with it at all. And in your abstract for this conference, you refer to vague labels, such as System 1. And the word vague is doing quite a lot of work there, isn't it? Quite a lot of critical work. So I wonder if you could explain to us the biggest difference in opinion there is between this model that we all understand and most of us are kind of on board with, and your evolutionary rationality.
Okay, so let's start with the System 1 and System 2 model. Yeah? So, usually, science starts with dichotomies, and this model is an assembly of dichotomies, very general terms like intuition versus reason, conscious versus unconscious, and so on. Yeah? So science starts usually with this kind of distinctions and then makes precise models. And we have in psychology precise models of heuristics, underlying intuition, of reasoning, and lots of things. This is the only case I know where the development went backwards. So away from the models into just dichotomies, intuition versus reason. First point. So, and that makes it easy to explain everything you do after the fact. That model cannot predict anything. So, second, polarities. So it's all about poles. In intuition is the one that's suspicious, that makes biases, but statistics and logic apparently makes never biases. That's wrong. And and also the polarization is wrong. So you need intuition and you need reason. It's not an opposition. So a study with 17 Nobel laureates that make real discoveries, so in physics or chemistry, showed they're all saying their discoveries is going back and forth from data, reasoning to intuition, to data to intuition. So it's together, it's not an opposition.
But it must start with intuition, right?
Typically,
starts with data.
But intuition is based on lots of experience. Otherwise, it doesn't help you. So this polarity in thinking is misleading, and also the alignment of the poles. So intuition with heuristic, and with often wrong, is incorrect. Every heuristic we have studied can be used consciously or unconsciously. There is no distinction. So what I'm doing, we study how decisions are made under uncertainty. That's the next difference. While this area in behavioral economics accepts Homo economicus, accepts the narrow domain in which models are made, namely what Frank Knight called risk, and ignores uncertainty. Now, the term uncertainty in Knight refers to situations where you don't know what can happen in the future. So the exhaustive or mutually exclusive set of all states are not known, the consequences are not known. That's the point. And most of the time we need to make decisions under uncertainty. And I study how people actually make decisions, like based on heuristics and narratives, and in what situation a class of heuristic, such as what Harry Markowitz did when he invested his own money, 1/n, make it equal. In what situation is this better than his own Nobel Prize winning method, and where not? That's the interesting question. It's not to blame Markowitz that he had not the capacity to calculate the optimal thing. He invented it, but it's not useful to optimize in a world of uncertainty. So,
a lot of models aren't much use in a world of uncertainty.
Yes, and we need to free us from this straitjacket about optimization. You can't optimize on uncertainty, but you can do something reasonable.
And you can divide very clearly the difference between uncertainty and risk.
No. But you often have parts of a problem where you have good data and other parts where you don't have. So this is just a first approximation to even consider uncertainty. So in behavioral economics, the term uncertainty is used for risk. So Kahneman-Tversky, judgment under uncertainty. Or before Luce and Reifar, in their classical book, they use uncertainty for ambiguity. So ambiguity is you know everything that can happen, you don't only know the probability. These type of problems are extremely rare, this type of risk. The challenge is, how can we deal with uncertainty, with intractability? And here heuristics can help. Optimization, no. And also incommensurability, so when things have no common denominator. And if you have expected utility maximization, if that is your only tool in your toolbox, you can't deal with either.
Okay, let's move on to look at why we're here. Right, now you must be interested in the MMH, the idea that the market has a mind, or you wouldn't have been kind enough to come. But do you think it's an idea that has some traction?
So while I'm here, I was touring with John Kay, which was just in LSE, trying to free economics and behavioral economics from its fixation on situations where everything is already known. So that's basically the key reason. So the Market Mind Hypothesis, I think that Patrick is trying to figure out what he means with it. And we can help him. So one way would be to put, to look at the mind as a toolbox, and how that works. So he doesn't like mechanisms model. So heuristics are formalized, but the choice of the heuristics that needs intuition, judgment. That may be one way. And on the other hand, to study what's really happening in markets. So you just told me your own experience is it's not models. It is heuristics and narratives. So why not make this a topic of scientific study? And good heuristics help you. We just talked about one that helps to keep your health good is never visit a doctor unless it really hurts. Then go quickly. Or there are food rules. So don't eat what your grandmother doesn't recognize as food.
Great idea.
Well,
if
just
more,
eat
if more
3 times
people
a day.
followed that rule, there'd be fewer people have to go to the doctor in the first place with the pain, right?
Right, and you wouldn't have an obesity problem.
That too.
And so the truth is that under uncertainty, you need to have smart heuristics. And they're typically simple. And one needs to take them serious, not associate them with biases.
And much of the market has this already. I mean, if you look at things like, Warren Buffett's idea that what really matters is if you want to help the market is undervalued or overvalued is this relationship of total market capitalization to GDP. Very simple, very straightforward. And we knew, if we were listening, that heuristic was telling us something really important last year. We have lots of those simple things in markets that people know, but we also kind of ignore. People still go to the doctor. People still eat crap. People still ignore Warren Buffett.
It's also in another way to look at this. What has happened, financial theories is mostly probability theory, period. Assumes a stable world. Works as long as nothing happens, but fails. So, and most important, even if one cannot predict a financial crisis, having these models that assume a stable world seduce economists and financial theorists to assuming that everything is okay. So Robert Lucas, a few years before the last financial crisis, announced that the macroeconomic theory has taken care, basically, of all Great Depressions. There won't be any more. Yeah, remember that. So that's the problem. If we don't distinguish between a situation that's a small world or world of risk, and there is uncertainty, then you commit the turkey illusion. You think it just goes on as it was, and like the story with the turkey, who was fed every day.
And then it was Christmas. Well, it often seems to me that our problem in markets is, if we start with the story, because we do, we tell each other stories, and these stories are very compelling. We love a good story, and there's money in a good story, so that's great. Then we make a model to go with the story, and then we shift to relying on the model.
Yeah.
And that's where we fall down.
Yeah. But one could be a little bit more honest. So why were these deceiving us and others? So in my own research, I analyze how experts and people make decisions. And how can we model that in order to learn how to improve these decisions? And the heuristics, like social heuristics. So when I go into a good restaurant, I don't even, so when I met Merryn King for the first time, so he came to Berlin and invited me to, and in one-star Michelin, and so this was a long time ago.
I didn't get to go to a Michelin-starred restaurant with him. I think I had a cup of coffee.
Yeah, you didn't write a book like Reckoning with Risk that he read. And so we're sitting for the first time together, and the waiter came and gave us a menu. Merryn opened the menu and started reading. I didn't. I asked the waiter what he would eat here today. And the waiter was quick, telling me what. And I said, I'll take it. Merryn listened to what's going on here, understood quickly, closed the menu, said, me too.
Okay, but aren't you concerned that Merryn wasn't already using that strategy?
He started reading the menu.
That's a concern, I would say.
So that's a heuristic.
Yeah.
And actually, in my experience, the results are better than if I start to figure out what the words could mean. And also, the heuristic don't work in every situation. That's the important question. When can we expect to work? So, in a good restaurant, the waiter knows what's going on today. In a mediocre restaurant, I wouldn't do this.
Okay, interesting. Gerd, this has been the best interview that we've done so far, because you're the only person who's given me some really great takeaways. Proper advice for living a better life based on your work. Thank you.
Look, there is a tendency among many scholars to talk in a way that you really don't understand.
Or that you can't listen to for very long.
Yeah, and that is not very helpful. We need to be clear, and we also need to prepare to be wrong.
Yes.
And that's the only chance to learn. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.